Imagine every grade, every disciplinary report, every medical note, every password for 62 million students exposed overnight. From kindergarteners to high school seniors, data from 90 countries has been stolen. And parents? They found out from Twitter. This isn't a sci-fi thriller, this is PowerSchool. And this is what happens when education tech becomes a national vulnerability. Let's go inside the breach that shook the foundation of digital schooling, and why this might be just the beginning. A platform too big to fail. PowerSchool isn't just another piece of educational software. It's the digital backbone of modern schooling. Trusted by over 13,000 school districts across the U.S. and beyond, it quietly manages the lives of more than 62 million students and touches 100 million users globally. It tracks everything: attendance records, GPA histories, lunchroom balances, disciplinary notes, IEPs, even the bus you ride and who to call if you fall sick. It knows when you're absent. It knows if you're struggling. It knows more about students than most of their teachers, parents, and. In short, if you're part of the school system, PowerSchool is the system, which is exactly why it made such an appealing target. On April 22, 2025, a security researcher stumbled upon something disturbing: an unsecured Amazon S3 bucket, linked directly to PowerSchool's backend. Sitting wide open were internal code scripts, admin authentication tokens, and unencrypted logs containing test data. It was the kind of access that attackers dream of. The researcher sent a responsible disclosure email, but it was already too late. The data had hit underground forums, circulating rapidly. Not just leaked, monetized. In the hacker world, PowerSchool has become the new gold mine. The breach wasn't theoretical. It was already weaponized. The breach that shouldn't have happened. Let's rewind and look at how this all began. According to insider sources familiar with the investigation, the breach didn't originate inside PowerSchool itself. It started at the edges, through a vulnerable third-party analytics plugin, embedded in thousands of school district systems. This plugin, still running outdated logging software, was exposed to a well-documented Apache exploit that had been publicly disclosed all the way back in 2022. It was a vulnerability that should have been patched years ago, but it wasn't. The attackers used this weakness as their entry point. Once inside, they moved quickly. Exploiting hard-coded credentials left in the system, they escalated privileges and gained admin-level access. From there, it was open season. They penetrated centralized databases, mapped out the back-end infrastructure using downloaded API schemas, and set up automated scripts to exfiltrate data by the terabyte. Within just 48 hours, the attackers had taken everything: complete student profiles, parent addresses and phone numbers, teacher identification records, active admin tokens, and, most disturbingly, internal documents stamped confidential. These weren't just boring reports. They were raw, intimate files, school violence investigations, mental health exemptions, IEPs, even sealed child custody orders. PowerSchool didn't just store data, it stored identities. And now, those were in the wild. The Sunday night leak. April 27th, 11:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A new post appears on Breach Forums, one of the most active underground marketplaces for stolen data. The file is named bluntly, PowerSchool Nation Leak 1 Zip. It's 4.3 gigabytes of raw, unfiltered data, and within hours, it's been downloaded tens of thousands of times by hackers, scammers, and digital rubberneckers alike. By dawn, the damage is spilling onto the surface web. Social media platforms are flooded with screenshots from the leaked files. Shock turns to outrage as users share private disciplinary reports from Texas middle schools, revealing names and accusations once sealed behind school office doors. Others uncover detailed student health records from California, listing allergies, prescriptions, and mental health notes. Then came the login credentials. suspended teachers still active in the system, parent and guardian phone numbers, home addresses. By Monday morning, #PowerSchool leak is trending worldwide. Parents weren't alerted by the district. Some only discovered the breach after their children were doxxed in Discord chats or received prank calls from strangers quoting private school records. What started as a quiet security failure had become a full-blown national crisis. This wasn't just a digital break-in. It was an unraveling. Not a glitch, a collapse of trust in the very system that promised to protect our kids. The chaos inside the school system. By Monday at 9 a.m., the ripple effects had become a tidal wave. Across the country, school districts scrambled into crisis mode. From New York to Arizona, online portals powered by PowerSchool went dark. Superintendents rushed to draft emergency statements, hoping to calm parents while still trying to understand the scope themselves. IT teams, overwhelmed and underprepared, shifted into digital triage mode, trying to lock down accounts, trace vulnerabilities, and isolate compromised systems. Some districts made drastic calls. PowerSchool was suspended entirely in certain areas. Teachers were handed paper attendance sheets for the first time in over a decade. Graduation processes were paused. Final grades delayed. Online assessments canceled with no backup plan. And still, the phone lines lit up. Help desks were slammed as worried parents demanded answers. Students couldn't log in to check assignments or schedules. Teachers lost access to vital information, IEPs, behavioral plans, and medication notices. All gone in the blink of an eye. Chaos wasn't confined to the back end. It hit every hallway, every classroom. And the worst part? No one could say exactly what had been taken. PowerSchool itself couldn't provide clarity. Their systems were still being audited, logs still being pieced together. The breach had unfolded faster than they could comprehend it. No roadmap, no protocol, just damage everywhere. The inside story. Missed warnings. As investigators dug deeper, a troubling pattern emerged. This wasn't a breach that came out of nowhere. Sources within PowerSchool later confirmed what many feared. The warning signs had been flashing red for months. In January, a routine penetration test flagged multiple high-risk vulnerabilities, some critical enough to allow full system compromise if exploited. In February, a third-party bug, Bounty Hunter, reported hard-coded API keys embedded in public-facing code, a rookie-level security oversight. Around the same time, internal emails show that several development teams raised red flags about outdated access logs and a lack of multi-factor authentication on admin accounts. But despite all of this, nothing changed. According to insiders, corporate leadership had its eyes set on a much different goal: a new initial public offering, IPO valuation. Investor presentations were being polished. Marketing was prioritizing shiny new features over maintenance. Security, once a cornerstone of trust in edtech, was being sidelined, relegated to backlog tickets and future sprints. In short, they were warned. They didn't listen. And now, 62 million students have been exposed. One cybersecurity analyst summed it up with brutal clarity. PowerSchool's breach was like leaving your house unlocked in the middle of a crime wave and then acting surprised when someone walked in and stole everything. Who did it? So, who was behind the attack that brought America's school system to its knees? At first, forensic teams were chasing shadows. IP traces bounced from Romania to Poland to Vietnam, classic obfuscation techniques used to mask true origins. But eventually, analysts started noticing a familiar pattern: specific code signatures, toolkits, and behavior that matched a known threat actor. The culprit? A rising cybercriminal collective called Night Shroud. Night Shroud had quietly built a reputation in dark web circles for highly targeted attacks on education infrastructure. Their previous victims included a Canadian university, the Department of Basic Education in South Africa, and a UK student loan portal. But nothing came close to the scale of the PowerSchool breach. And this wasn't just another hit, it was a digital earthquake. And what made it even more unsettling, there was no ransom note, no manifesto, no demands. They simply dumped the data for the world to see and vanished. This left cybersecurity experts speculating wildly. One theory? It was a statement meant to expose just how fragile the backbone of Western education had become. Another, more chilling theory? Night Shroud wasn't working alone. Some believe they were state-sponsored, part of a broader campaign to test the fault lines in critical U.S. digital infrastructure. Whatever the motive, the message was clear. No system is too big to breach. A digital wake-up call. PowerSchool was built to streamline education, to modernize, simplify, and connect. It promised efficiency, transparency, and access. For teachers, it meant faster grading. For parents, instant updates. For students, one portal for everything. But in 2025, that promise cracked wide open. Instead of showcasing the power of digital learning, PowerSchool revealed its darkest vulnerability. When a child's identity, trauma history, medical conditions, and safety protocols can be downloaded by a stranger with a single click, we're no longer talking about technical debt. We're talking about moral failure. This wasn't just a glitch in the system. This was a collapse in trust. And trust is much harder to restore than code. The real lesson? Security isn't a patch. It isn't a toggle switch or an afterthought. It's the foundation. If your platform holds children's lives, it must be engineered with the same care, caution, and resilience as a hospital or a bank. Because this wasn't just a breach. It was a reckoning. A group of hackers revealed what no one in the edtech world wanted to admit. The system wasn't just flawed. It was never ready. Next episode, United Natural Foods, Grocery Gridlock. If you thought leaked grades and student records were terrifying, wait until you hear what happened when a cyber attack hit United Natural Foods, UNFI, the distributor behind Whole Foods and hundreds of other stores. Suddenly, the United Natural Foods ran empty. Systems failed. Trucks didn't roll. One executive called it the day grocery went dark. Next episode, United Natural Foods, Grocery Gridlock. And what does it mean when the food stops moving? You've been watching the real cyber war. No explosions, no fire, just silent keystrokes and consequences that ripple across lives. Like this video and subscribe for more real-world cyber attack investigations. Because the next hack might already be underway. Catch you next time on True Hacker Chronicles.